I lost about like 14 Bitcoin from various stupid things. Some of it exchange hacked, some of it getting into like leverage trading. Um, yeah, like to me, I wanted to look for an enemy. And I know when the exchange hacks broke at first, everyone was like, oh, look at this CEO, he's a scammer. It's like, okay, but in the case of my exchange hack, the CEO mysteriously died. So it's like, who's the villain? I was looking at the lawyers as the villains for a while for things like FTX or Quadriga. Then I eventually realized like I gotta just take accountability. Like I messed up here. Like there's a lot of information and probably somewhere along the line I didn't listen to said take self-custody and it just didn't feel very practical back then, but we definitely don't have any excuses now. Like there's a billion great hardware wallets out there. So it's very easy to take self-custody. Like I think 2% of Bitcoin supply was basically completely wrecked from the Mount Gox collapse because people didn't know good self custody back then either. Um, but yeah, kind of like what you're saying, like Wild West. I think I don't know if I'm making a good segue here, but I think one of the things that helped me get through this is I really tried to think about Bitcoin on like a first principles level. And I think we should be thinking about everything on a first principles level, not just Bitcoin. I think we should be thinking about our relationships with other people, whether we should, be pursuing these crazy ideas that we have. We really need to like zoom out and judge things for what they are in the present and look at the past and the future. Um, I didn't grow up with a religious background, but I think one of the greatest things in Christianity is like it's an entire book of first principles. It's an entire book that has reasons for everything. And a society that doesn't have that doesn't teach their kids from birth how to think in first principles, and they don't really learn that in school. Quite the opposite, actually. A lot of things are reactionary in schools. You have like these teachers teaching random like woke propaganda. They don't even know why they're teaching it. It's terrible. And it leads to all these downstream effects of, I think, people being in tough situations and just doing the absolute wrong thing, taking a bad situation, making it worse. Um, I think there's a lot of ways that you can learn to be principled and unemotional and kind of like look at things logically and straight. I think, through the lens of Christianity is one way. I'm very into Stoicism. You look at all like the Roman emperors who had some of like the toughest lots of life, and they wrote about this all the time and all the pain they went through. And there's still so much to learn. And you see amazing people in sports refer to this stuff all the time. They bring copies of Meditations with them from Marcus Aurelius. I've just really gotten into some of these texts this year, and you'll find as you get into them, maybe you have already been implementing some like first principles thinking in everything in your life. But when you see it from the written perspective, when you see the whole thing on the page in front of you, it's really powerful. And I think this generation is realizing that they got a bad lot of life when it came to figuring out how to process the world. They were not given a guidebook to this stuff. And that's why I think really you are seeing so much of Gen Z reach to Christianity again. They say, hey, I need a guidebook. I wrote this off because my parents wrote it off, but I need something. I need to ground something. And I think that's amazing. And you're seeing all these, Gen Zers get into philosophical texts too. These people who had spent a lot of time processing the world. And now Gen Z is looking at this and saying, I need to take ownership for my future. Like the complaining doesn't get me anywhere. The voting doesn't get me anywhere. Um, and yeah, I feel the same way with Bitcoin, where it's just like, the tuition you pay with Bitcoin is probably losing some coins in the beginning. Hopefully not. And that's what I try and do. I try to stop people from losing their coins. But there's going to be a lot of pain, and you have to take accountability for that pain rather than blame someone else. I think we still have a really big problem in the Bitcoin space of like, oh, the price dropped. We got to blame Jane Street for it. It's just like, it's out of your control. Like, why are you spending your life tweeting about this? Like, unless you make engagement money, like why even bother being a part of that conversation?